بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. All praise to Almighty Allah, the only creator, the only commander, the only provider, the only legislator. And may the peace of Allah and His blessing be upon all the messengers from the time of Nuh, Adam, Nuh, Moses, Jesus, and the final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Barry Devlin for his kind invitation for me to participate in your own debate at Trinity College about Islam and the liberal Western society, if they can coexist. This topic will lead us to the topic which I believe in, is called the clash of civilizations. First of all, let us understand the term civilization is about concepts related to the point of view of life, to the meaning of life, and that concepts and those thoughts and ideas are manifested in the relationship and the transaction between the man and himself and between him and others. And we should differentiate between civilization and the issues known as material progress or technology and science. So when I'm speaking about civilization, I'm speaking about culture, about point of view of life, about the belief, about the answer for the fundamental question, where we come from and why and where we're going to. Therefore, this is really what I call it civilization. I'm not speaking about technology and science because I don't believe there's a conflict or there's clashing, you see, between the mankind in relation to science, because they share the material progress and there is no problem with that at all. Now let us come to the philosophy of life. The philosophy of life for the mankind. It is to bring the benefit and prevent harm. It's try to achieve what is benefiting them in this life and what preventing harm and save their own life. Man by default, he been created without his choice. Therefore, he is not the creator, or he is not the originator or the one who caused everything, whatever you want to call it. So the man, by default, has organic need. He needs for food, he needs for clothes, he needs for shelter, he needs to have air, and has as well instinct. And he got surviving instincts, he got procreation instincts, he got reverence one as well, religious instincts. Surviving instinct manifests itself that he, from his childhood, he wants himself to have a thing to protect him. That's why he always become close to his parent, to be protected, because he always got a fear. And the fear on him, it is the fear from death. And that's what God has destined on every human being. It manifests itself that he will start to study, to get degrees, to get job, and then to have salary, then to eat and to survive and have a shelter. So all this you see circle is just to secure his life. Therefore he needs a system to tell him what is the way to save his life and protect it without to affect other people's life. And as well he got procreation instincts. He's a human being. He's not mechanical being. He's a social being. Therefore, he needs to live with other people. And that social relationship between him and other people will develop to become some need and urge to certain need. Sometime, because we created opposite gender or different genders, male and female, so it's going to be attracted to the other gender. And therefore, it's going to be sexual need. And need now a system to satisfy that. And that system, you see, which could be marriage or could be relationship. And could be sometime not normal relationship. Could be relationship with other men. Because some people forget that God created us as Adam and Eve. But some people believe God created us Adam and Steve. Or maybe some of them, they want to have relationship with other animals. Whatever. That relationship between him and the opposite gender is going to develop for another need. The need to be father or the need to be mother. And then You see, that will guarantee the continuity of the human race. The third one is reverence instinct, which is really every person, because he born without his choice, and because he born and he die, I mean he's limited and weak and needy, he always frightened, has a fear. And that fear will make him look up to something strong, to worship, or that will let him think about the fundamental question, where we come from, why mankind created, who created man, life, universe, and why created us. That fear is very healthy, because if you fear from death, you will protect your life. You fear from ignorance, you will seek knowledge. You fear yourself from God, you behave yourself. But that type of fear is very healthy, because the more you fear, the more you seek knowledge. So therefore, fear will lead you to knowledge. The same thing. But if you fear from something wrong, something imagination, you fear from Dracula or Frankenstein, and you have a phobia, I think whatever you try to seek knowledge about it, you will never able to sleep. Islam is complete way of life, is a belief, emanates from this belief, complete system of life. We call it in Arabic, we call it Sharia. So it is a belief, aqidah, emanates from that complete system of life, Sharia. You can see the belief is the answer, the first question, where we come from and where we're going to. We said from God to God. Christian, Jews, Muslims who believe in God, they say it from God to God. So all of them, they share this issue of the spiritual belief, if you like. Therefore, they have no problem with that. But they do not share, you see, the political belief. Political belief is, you know, is really talk about the complete system, organized relationship between man and woman, between man and himself and God and others. And that's called economic system, social system, ruling system, foreign policy, punishment system, ritual system. And that system called the political belief, the way of life. That is really not exist in Christianity or in Judaism, existing in Islam. But there's another ideologies is got this, you know, system of life, this political belief. Capitalism, Marxism, got that political belief. You can see now, Islam, different than Christianity, in relation to the system of life. Christianity got political belief, so they can coexist under any other political belief. Islam is a spiritual belief. They can coexist under any other political system, whether capitalism or communism, as long as they can satisfy their own ritual really belief, all their own ritual really duties. If they can fulfill that, they have no problem. That's why they introduce the ideas, leave what for God to God and what for Caesar to Caesar. So for them, if Caesar is capitalist or communist, or even if it's Muslims, which I think really they don't accept that, they should accept it as long as they have their own church. So they can accepting the philosophy, which is the political belief of the capitalism carry, which is called separate religion or separate God from the life affair. And therefore, they can live there, no problem. And we can see that in the West. And that's called secularism, which is the religion I call myself really for those secular people in the West. They have religion, they call it secularism or democracy or freedoms. However, that's their own political belief. Whereas Islam is different. Cannot. Because Islam has political belief as well. Like communism, Marxism, and capitalism, two political beliefs, they cannot coexist together, except will be always confrontation between each other. Always clash and confrontation. Each one believes he's right and the other is wrong. That's why, you see, before the collapse of the Soviet Union, it was always the Marxist movement under attack in the, under its really in the Western societies. And vice versa, the capitalists really in the Eastern societies, whether in the time of Soviet Union or in the Eastern societies, they always used to be suffer. And that's why it happened a lot of conflict. Islam has a political belief, therefore cannot coexist under other political belief, except if they oppose it. Because the philosophy of the Western civilization, based on that political belief, which is really, there is Nothing called God has any sayings in the system of life, because they say it in their own secular terms. God, mind your business in the church, mind your business in the synagogue, mind your business in the mosque, and we will run our affair in the parliament. That's called secularism. That's why Islam does not accept that, because Islam is a spiritual belief and political belief. Therefore, Islam answered this fundamental question: where we come from? God who created man, life, universe. Why? He created us to follow His commands, to make sure that He will give us the road to heaven, which we try to claim back after, the shaitan, after the devil or iblis, we call it ourselves really the shaitan, succeeds to mislead our parents, our grandfather and mother, Adam and Eve, drive them out from heaven when they forget that God told them not to eat from that particular trees, yet He whispered to them and tell them is the tree of eternity, and they made the mistake. So therefore, it's going to be always this conflict for those who follow, the shaitan. The shaitan itself really, in fact, it is follow the man-made system. So either you believe sovereignty for God, or you believe sovereignty for man. I believe sovereignty for God, and that's my civilization based on. Emanate from that aqidah, I believe in the revelation, which is emanate from that complete system of life. You believe in a man-made system. You believe in sovereignty for man. And that's the conflict. And God destined, there will be always confrontation. And He told us in the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسِ بَعْضُهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَفَسَدَتِ الْأَرْضِ. If Allah did not make the people clashed together, people of the truth clash against people of falsehood, there will be complete mischief in the earth. There will be always conflict between truth and falsehood. So therefore, I don't think can coexist, but they can coexist by the meaning of what? Share together. You see, debate, discuss, but it's going to be confrontation between them. Struggle. Sometimes could be political, could be ideological, could be as well military struggle. What we are really facing obstacle in order to have debate and discussion, I believe, fundamentalism. Secular fundamentalism, which is really fundamentalism by default, reject other people and use violence against them. Rejection and violence. In Islam, I may reject your views. You're referring to yourself. You see, you make your own law and order in the parliament, and you play God. You make yourself legislators, and you never know what is wrong, what is right. Because the best to know what's wrong, what's right is God. What's good, what's bad is God. You believe you can know that, but you always keep changing because you're never persisting in your own parliament. I'm sure if you look to homosexuality, 100 years ago was taboo, was something illegal, was bad. Now it's become way of life. So you always change. Therefore, I'm suffering as a Muslims who want to coexist in order to convey the Islamic message to the people who are misguided. I'm suffering from the secular fundamentalism, which is really rejecting my views and using violence in the name of the law and the so-called new law of terrorism. Wake up. There's need for a change. And I think the best way to change, to go back to basic, go back to God. I pray to God that your conference tonight will be highlight the most important element in very rational, intellectual debate for the sake of the truth to prevail. But remember, God created us to follow His command, and there is two tunnels, and the other tunnel is always light. But don't be at the wrong tunnel, because it could be the light of hellfire and could be the light of heaven. Therefore, I am, inshallah, with the word of God, I will be following the messengers and the prophet to be at the tunnel which will lead us to heaven. And I would like to invite you to Islam and think about it and never late to embrace Islam. Thank you very much for you listening to me, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh for all Muslim brothers and sisters who are in the audience, and as well I will say to you goodbye for those who are not Muslims. Thank you.